Do you see how to join here? Hello, hello, and welcome back to our show, Free Spoken. This is Amy, Amy and Allie, and we're back with another show. And yeah, so my name's Amy. I'm with Embracing Essence, and I do a Cosmic Quantum Energy. And meeting up with my friend Allie, who is also another energy worker with lots of insights and amazing gifts. And we always come here to talk of just really fun things that are on our minds and our hearts. And we feel it would be so helpful to get this information or this just maybe, I don't know, just the share out to as many as are aligned. So thank you for being here, and over to you, Allie.
Awesome. Thanks so much for joining us, guys. I'm Allie of Earthly Me, Divine Embodiment. Super excited to be here today. We actually don't really have much of an agenda, just touching on some things in the very recent past that we're going to talk about today. So we're super excited to have you here. Please, if you are seeing this for the first time, please like our video and get some more people watching it with us. Like it, share it. What's the last one? Subscribe to either of our channels, all of our channels, all the things, all the links are below this video for Amy and I. So please love us. No.
Yeah. Show the love.
Yes. And if you have comments on the stuff that we're talking about, please share. We'd love to hear your guys' feedback and any ideas you have going on. All right, Amy, you want to set us off by taking sacred space?
Yeah, we're gonna let ourselves sink into our breath and imagine yourself rooting into the earth and spiraling down into the center, the core of the earth, and allowing for our energy body to anchor into that essence of just feeling the current action. And we're going to call in all of our teams of light, our higher selves, our guides and angels, any beings that are close to us, helping us on our highest and best path. And then we're going to open up our crown. We're going to feel the energy coming up from the earth, feeling it rush through our system. It's going to open our crown to our multidimensional selves, our aspects themselves, and integrate as one. And see our heart open and flowing in alignment, perfect self-expression and presence. All right, so now that we're anchored.
Yeah, thank you for that. Awesome. Thank you for that. All right, cool. Well, I wanted to just touch on some things that have been coming through in sessions. You cool if we started off with some of that?
Great.
Okay, awesome. So today is March 23rd. Spring equinox was a couple days ago, and I'd say about 2 or 3 weeks ago, I started getting, so when I do sessions, it's pretty sporadic. Like I do some online sessions and I do some channeling sessions included in bodywork. And so I actually had more of those at the beginning of this month. And there was multiple people, at least 5 people of all the ones that I had done, who this message was coming through about really taking like the last 2 to 3 weeks to step more deeply into their higher selves and their rituals, their practices, their daily and their more seasonal things, so that something around, and it kept being the 22nd or 23rd. So I'm super curious what we're shifting through right now. That part wasn't clear, but it was like, pretty much get your shit together before you get to this point. And so that you're really solid in who you are and what you want and why you want it. I think there's a pretty significant shift in, I guess I've shifted a lot in how I think about what I manifest. Like if I'm thinking about trying to manifest a home, it's more than like, oh, I want this $1 million home, because I want, a home. It's more because I want to be free. I want sovereignty to grow my own food and be free of the systems that keep us locked into the matrix. So I want a home because I want to be free, right? So like the why is the big draw. And so a lot of times they'll illustrate that for people to find what they want from their why. And so and a lot of times that was what was coming through with this message around this time. Like I said, I don't know. I was being shown like star alignments, so that there being something that shifts right around this time, yesterday and today, that affects this shift, but I still don't know what it is. And I could feel the
Oh,
energy of
yeah.
shift, but I'm still super curious, like what it means and what the shift is, I guess.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Have you picked up on any of that?
Yeah. It's funny because I think this has been building, like these sensations of like sensational like symptoms have been building over the past like month, really.
Yeah,
Um, one thing after another, just interesting, odd, crazy thing. But then you just trust and allow, you trust and allow, right?
totally.
Um, but talking with a friend yesterday, she was saying yesterday was a big like catalyst day. And last month I had a reading like session with Laura Eisenhower, and she was going through my chart, and she had noted like, oh, we're going into the age of Aquarius, but Pluto's now entering into Aquarius, and that's huge. It hasn't done this in like, I don't know how many years, decades. So
Oh,
it's going to be a really big shift, because it is everything you just said, like getting your ducks in a row, your whys and your desires all like crystal, because that's what you're going to be working forward on from here on out.
totally. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Cool. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Okay. So Pluto, I'll have to look into that. I definitely want to know just what that represents in our lives. And I don't
Yeah.
it's so funny because like they'll show me, like people's teams will show me like star alignments, and I'll be like, oh, okay, so something astrological is happening. But then, when it comes down to what it is, I'm like, I don't even know like how to explain any of this. I don't know anything about what this stuff really truly means deeper than like surface level. I just know that there's something happening up there that's affecting us down here right at that time.
Yeah. You know what? There's going to be a link. We have to find that information, and we'll put it below,
Yeah.
because
Oh, that's perfect. That's a good idea.
yeah, there has to be a great explanation, a lot better than we just did.
Totally. Yeah.
But yeah, it's cool how you can feel into those energies though.
I was just gonna say, like, I think it's so awesome that, like, even though we don't know, well, one, that it's such an honor to be able to tap into people's teams. And like, I knew of these energies because of what I do for work, because of these other people's guidance teams, their higher selves telling them, to be ready. So in part, I was like, oh, like I need to start getting that together too. And like thinking about these things. And I know actually we just had spring equinox and a new moon.
Yeah.
Um, And then yesterday, I guess, was the Pluto thing. So that's a lot in 3 days. But I
I don't
knew
know
it was
exact
after the
day.
equinox. I was positive it was right after the equinox. It wasn't the equinox, it was right after it. So how
Pretty
interesting.
powerful. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
so
that
make
was
some
really
time,
cool.
make some time, do those
Totally.
intentional goal setting.
Yeah. Really, really deeply intentional. I feel like we do this all the time, but I think that's what life is about, is just like constantly coming back and seeing, well, now I learned this lesson. So how does that change what I want and who I want to be and how I want to move through these aspects of lives with this new, with this new lesson that I just learned, and with this shift that has just happened in my life. It's constantly coming back and reassessing and re-establishing what we want and
Mhm.
and why. Oh, why, the big why. That's super, super, super important.
Right. Why do you want it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I remember I did it with my truck too. When I was manifesting my truck, um, I knew exactly what I wanted. It was a burgundy Chevy Silverado, 2500. And like, like people be playing Slug Bug. Well, instead of Slug Bug, my daughter would get me for Slug Bugs and I get her for burgundy Chevy Silverados. And I remember that when I kind of made that shift to like why I wanted it, and it was the freedom. I wanted to be able to haul my RV anywhere I wanted to go at any time. And I wanted to be able to go to the river, and go down onto the river and have this epic experience. And I wanted to be able to feel safe. And it was all about freedom. Everything to me came back to freedom. And it feels the same with home. With home, I was like, well, why? Why do I want it? I want to be free again. Like it's all about being sovereign and free to me. So I think more than just setting intentions, figuring out the why, like, why do you want that? Taking it that step further feels so powerful.
Powerfully said.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's like a majority of manifesting, is to align your feelings of what you want with, the goal,
Right.
whatever it may be.
Yeah. And then taking it even further than that and actually allowing yourself a moment, if only a moment, to just experience that, even even if you do feel trapped, but like if you have a moment to just sit down and think about what it would be like to be free and sovereign, and in whatever intention you're working with, and allowing yourself to really experience that, the joy, like letting a smile crawl across your face as you're thinking about this home and how epic it is, and being there, right now, even if you aren't,
Yeah.
allowing your energies to align with that more deeply as often as possible. It's magical.
Right. Allowing your imagination to run free.
Totally. That's the fun
Like
part.
doing the daydreaming.
Yes.
We're always told not to, like, oh, just do daydream. I'm like, it's not a bad thing. It's actually manifesting. But of course, that
Totally.
we're always like skewed away from these things.
Yeah. Yeah. No, it's like
Beneficial.
fantasizing. I'm like, that's the funnest thing. What? Why stop that? It's
Mm.
fun. It feels so good.
Yeah, that's how we create, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
Mm.
Beautiful.
Yeah. There's
I want
been, oh, go
go
ahead.
ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead. You go.
Oh, well, I was just going to say there's so many experiences lately that can grab our attention, to just how, energetic we are, how as we experience these astrological changes, um, the more and more we become aware of them, and we're just reading energies and letting your body actually be a barometer for what's moving inside, and
Mm,
allowing. I'm finding that, like, I'm just having more experiences that are coming very quickly, like the Ascension experiences. Had vertigo for like 4 or 5 days, and that was fascinating. And that was like the second time I've experienced that in the last like 5 years or so.
wow.
it was wild.
Wow.
Have you ever experienced anything like that?
Not necessarily vertigo. I'm not sure. I'm curious. I would like to hear how that feels for you. I would say when we, because my daughter has like dizzy spells and stuff, and she's super sensitive too. So I would be super curious how that interprets.
Yeah.
But like at the same time, I like on spring equinox, I was definitely feeling this like really deep fatigue come over me, where I know now after years of the ascension symptoms, like I know that means to lay down and open my body to allow any downloads to come in, any energy that serves me. I open to it at that time. And if it
Mhm.
is anything trying to drag me down, I release it and allow it to leave my body. But that feels very similar to how people explain vertigo. Is it's just like a boom, like all of a sudden I have to lay down, like and if I don't, I know now I have to. I've
Yeah.
definitely thought it for many years, but now I know, like, no, your higher self knows better. She ain't playing. Go lay your ass
Right. Yeah. Listening. I know it's I'm becoming aware of that in like exhaustion level as well. And like it comes out of nowhere. And then it's like, oh, once I'm like, I lay down and listen and I have like this, you rest and you recover and you get like this upgrade, it almost seems,
Yeah, yeah,
or
yeah,
a release. Um, but yeah, vertigo is a lot like what your daughter has experienced. It's just a lot of spinning, a lot of, it's really weird, but yeah, it's just really, really quite unsettling because you're trying to walk and you feel unbalanced. It's really interesting. So I did
yeah.
a ton of resting in that case in those 5 days.
Well,
Mhm.
that's good.
Not even drove or anything, but just allowed the process.
Yeah, that's good. I
Yeah.
feel like that's so important. There's so
Yeah.
many of us that just can't, we think we can't, and we're forced to think we can't. But that it's so important to take that time. That's so curious. That's fascinating to me. And everyone has different symptoms, right? Like some people have ringing in their ears, like, and some people be like, no, it's like for real, like real ringing. And I'll get like this like ring that really feels loud and it's like right here. And I'm like, do you hear that? And my daughter's like, no. And then I just like settle with it. And I'm like, okay, here comes the download. Like, I hear you guys. I hear you trying to get my attention, whether it be galactic family or higher selves. Like, I feel like I've been more able to tune into the other, I guess, other dimensions better because I've been able to know that that is somebody trying to get my attention and talk to me from another realm. In my opinion, that's what, whether it be the fairies or galactic family or angels or my higher self. I tune into it and allow myself that moment to just, okay, I'm going to be quiet for just a second. I'll tell my kid, like, hold on just a minute. I need to get this. I need to answer this real quick.
Yeah. Perfect. I love
And
that.
let it ride. And it's usually like literally lasts like, 10 to 30, maybe 40 seconds. That's it. And then it's done. But I think
Yeah.
everyone has like varying degrees of all these symptoms.
Yeah. And that's a great tip on when your ears ring. Just really take 30, 40 seconds and listen
Yeah.
and intend on receiving the information however you receive.
Yeah. Totally. Yeah. Oh my
Very
gosh, it's so crazy too. Like I can't even remember when this was. I guess within the last 2 weeks. I was getting such intense epiphanies. I don't remember what was going on at that time. Um, I feel like it was like at the beginning of this month. I can't remember when it was, and I don't know if you experienced this, but I was getting like, I mean, like one after the other, like seven, like huge downloads of like aha moments. And it was so cool because it was just like, man, like this is I live for those moments. Like I think a lot of it's been really interesting to watch people wake up so suddenly in this more recent time, like the people that woke up really suddenly.
yes.
For them it's been like one after the other after the other after the other. It's like they get no breaks between them. They're just like rapid ascension.
Mm.
and all these epiphanies just kind of happen all at once, where, I feel like for some of the folks who awakened a long time ago, it's less frequent and less I guess rapid. And so when it does happen, it's like, oh my gosh, that was so cool. Like I get so excited about it. And just recently I had this like 4 days straight. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm just like understanding. And that's the upgrades, right? That's us like kind of coming into this new awareness of things around us and how things work and move. And it takes us having those moments of being open, quieting our minds when we hear the ringing and we're like, oh, somebody's trying to get my attention. Like, and I also am super curious how it has to do with our gifts, right? Like, say vertigo, which I believe is an ear and head thing.
Yep.
Maybe that's like, depending on your gift, that's a knowing and a hearing of the other dimensions, right? But maybe for some others, it's more feeling, or I don't know, just like I'm super curious how the ascension symptoms relate to our gifts, and how those gifts inside of us are either strengthening or shifting too. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense. Yes, it makes so much sense because I felt like that vertigo was giving myself an upgrade in my throat center, because that's exactly like your ears and your mouth are connected in your throat center.
Sure. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, but that makes so sense. And because my strongest suit is audience, clear audience,
Clear audience. Okay.
and
Okay.
clear hearing. So yeah, it's really rad.
Fascinating.
You know,
Oh, that's so
so,
cool.
yeah, but ear ringing, I think everyone can relate to, because you can be really not even aware of your spirituality at all, and you still have ear ringing, because it's like they're always around saying hello to you. You're getting a
Yeah.
note and nudge along the way
Yeah.
forever. You're like, kids have ear ringing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally. I've been curious, have you seen any galactic family of yours in the sky chilling out there? Have you had any experiences?
Oh, yeah, in session spaces, I'm starting to see
Okay.
the star families of my the clients in session,
Uh-huh.
and that's really cool because I'm just
Nice.
given words of like, oh, that's who they are, and like I get the word and the image together, and I'm like, okay, I'll go with that.
That's awesome. Have you seen any ships out in the sky though? Like directly?
No, no, but I've been calling them in. It's a matter of allowing that to happen.
Okay.
I know they're around, but no, I haven't seen any lately, but I have before in years past.
Okay, yeah. I don't I think like maybe seen something before, but I definitely saw something in the last week. So I'm like, okay, they're definitely here. Like, it's been exciting to just kind of see a little bit more clearly them be here and around. It's a lot of fun for sure.
What is your most recent experience with that?
Just like I actually saw, and I don't even remember what day it was, but I went outside and it was nighttime, and we have a glorious view of the stars out where we are now. And I saw one like shoot across the sky. I almost thought it was a shooting star, but then it like stayed there and kept moving around in like really weird patterns. I was like, that's not a plane or anything. And I don't really know how to tell, but just the way that it was moving and the light and how bright it was, I was like, whoa, and how fast it was. It was insane. And then I saw, and that one kind of went away, and like went behind a tree because we have these gigantic redwood trees. So I lost sight of it. And then just I had stayed out there, longer than probably it was probably a good 20 minutes I was out there. And then I saw just this huge bright flash. And I was like, oh my God, what was that? And I thought, was that a shooting star? But it wasn't. It was just one spot and it flashed. And then out of that same area, another looked like ship, same speed with the same kind of light, started going the opposite direction of the one I had seen first.
Ooh,
And so, and again, disappeared behind the redwood tree, and then I didn't see it again. And I was like, what is happening?
I love that.
It was really cool though. I definitely, it's interesting, right? Like we're out in the middle of nowhere. There's definitely wildlife out here, and being outside at night, I definitely still have some fear around just like, oh, what's walking up around me or anything. So as much as I want a visitation, um I definitely still have a little bit of a wall up, like, hold on, let's make sure this isn't a cougar or a bobcat walking up on me right now.
Right.
So it's interesting because I'm definitely trying to get over that fear, just so that, because I really do want to have a
Encounter.
yeah, in like person to person, face to face encounter. I really do.
Right.
So I'm calling that in for show.
That would be pretty radical. I know.
Yeah.
And you know what came to me when you were saying that? Like, I think we all inherently have that fear of going out into the wild by ourselves. But I think since we're all energy, we could just intend on our field being just huge. And they'll feel our field and not come close to it. They'll just be and walk away from it.
I want to, it's so crazy because I've thought of this for so long. I feel like I'm almost to the point where I could sit and have conversations with these animals, like, oh my God, what are you doing? You're so pretty. Like that's how I feel. Like if they came to me, I'd be like, oh my gosh. So it's less of a fear, but also I guess just more like I need to know what to do if it didn't go the way I was hoping, I guess. So like if it was a cute little bear and I was having a conversation, then all of a sudden its mama came around the corner, then I would just know what to do. And I think if I was armed with more of that information, I would have less of the fear, right? And that's all of us. We fear what we don't know, obviously, what we don't understand. So I don't know what they're gonna do, but I have definitely had like lots of meditations with specifically mountain lions. And I remember the very first ones I had meditations. Oh my gosh, there was one specific one that's come to me so many times, and she would just stare at me, and I'd be like, horrified at first. I was just so scared of her. And it probably took like a good 7 times for her to come around, where I finally like looked in her eyes and saw the love and realized like, oh my God, she's just like me. She's just an animal. Like she's just like we would say, she's just another person. But she was a being, and she had her own soul and her own feelings. And it was super powerful. And now she's come by to be by my side. I'll often I call on her often. She's actually one of my besties. I have her picture with me all the time, and she's phenomenal. But it took getting over that fear, right? Because I was just like, why are you here? Why are you looking at me? Like I don't want anything to do with it, until I was like, oh, like she's here for a reason. Let me go see what's up with her. Let me just, she can't hurt me here in a meditation. And that it was where I came over a lot of my fears around lions and mountain lions. I still have some, but not nearly like I used to. Not nearly. So
Right.
it's
Yeah, they're intense beings.
they are. I really love them. I think that's also just kind of grown like such a beautiful love for that species, in getting to know her in that way. And it sounds crazy, right? Because it's like in a meditation you got to know, but really like I can feel her energy. I can sense when she's nervous, or she's shown me situations about why her species is the way they are, and where they came from, and what happened from where they came, like all kinds of stuff. So I've gotten to know her, and now I'm like, oh my gosh, like I love her. So yeah, super awesome.
That's awesome. I love the insight. And I mean, it sounds like you're on your way to being an animal communicator, because that's essentially, you sound just like one. I have a friend that has a few horses, and she's telling me all sorts of conversations she's having with these horses, and I'm like, what? And just wisdom just pours from them.
Yeah.
It's phenomenal. So
that's awesome. My cousin, I've definitely met like 2 or 3 people who have that gifts who haven't tapped into them yet, but their team has told them like this is one of their primary gifts. And I've always been like, ah, that is so cool. Like I'm one of those people who like, if there's dead animal on the road, I am, and this would be great if anyone does know of a service that does this. Like I've even thought of like maybe getting some kind of really, really thick gloves where it would be safe enough to go and like remove an animal from a roadway and put them off to the side of the road to like, even if they are all the way dead, like it still just seems so heinous to me to like have this animal just keep being run over even if they're dead already. It doesn't matter to me. I still think that like they should be, their body should be able to rest in peace and or be taken by a predator who will eat it, you know. And so I think of that often all the time. I'm like, okay, maybe if I just got some really thick trash bags and some really thick gloves and like pulled over it, like I've always thought of it. Now that I have a truck, I think of it even more. But
Well,
I
dude,
just,
yeah, it'll happen.
yeah, we'll figure out a way to make it happen for sure.
Yeah, I could also see you going into those rescue shelters of like these injured animals and working with them to help them heal.
Oh my gosh. Oh, that's so crazy. My very first job was working at an animal shelter. Very first, when I was 14 years old.
Full
That's the first
circle.
thing I did. Full
I love
circle.
that.
Yes, I would love that too. I know,
Oh,
and it's
that's
so
cool.
we're really yearning for a new like pet in our lives. I don't know, we're just really yearning for some like new energy. I love my baby and my dog. They're my life. But yeah, just craving someone or some, you know, new soul to enter our family. So we've been calling that in for show.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, it's cool how you have that relationship with the mountain lion, and I have the same with a wolf. And
Ooh.
I've always loved the wolf ever since I was little.
Mm, that's
And
so awesome.
yeah, and this wolf comes into my meditations all the time as well, and is always next to me, and it's just the coolest presence.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Mhm.
Do you
Yeah.
invite him in or does he just come in?
Um, it's usually like when I'm journeying, I find that she's always there.
Yeah.
And but also I'll just get an image out of nowhere.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's cool. It's a good remembrance. And then also I like your way of asking for information when they come in. So I do that a little bit. It's more of like me attune, like sensing what the message is rather
Mm,
than asking questions.
yeah.
So
I
I'll
would
do
say
that.
it's a mix of both. I think it's like if it's so different every time. Like sometimes I go into a meditation, I'm like, all right, y'all, I need you to tell me what the hell is going on with all this over here. Okay. And then there's other times where I go in where I'm like, I just want to nirvana it out right now. And then things just come in how they're meant to. And I just feel like I get exactly what I need. And then there's other times where I get absolutely nothing. Well, most of the time it's actually absolutely nothing. And those times are just as helpful, you know, they just help me to clear that energy of either what came before or a client and their residual energy. So I just feel like it's so perfect every single time. But when I have a specific question, I love, you know, the family I've built. Like I just feel so comfortable around like Archangel Michael. He is always around. He's with so many of my clients. He's just I feel like he's one of the most common presences, I feel, um at least with the clients that I deal with,
Mhm.
and in such different ways. Like sometimes, like I remember one guy, it was like his mm, like almost like a main aspect of this guy's soul. And then for another woman that came in, it was like who she needed the most at that time because of some threats coming at her, and Archangel Michael was like all the way swooped in, angel wings, huge, protecting her, massive majestic wings. And so it's so different every time, but he's most of the time he's around, so it's really cool.
Cool. I was thinking you must have a really, really strong connection with him for him to show up so much for you, because I feel the same way for Saint Germain. And
Oh.
I feel Archangel Michael around sometimes, but it's not like Saint Germain.
Yeah.
It's so fascinating.
Yeah, I love that. That's crazy too. And I feel like there's times too where they come in more often. Like it's so weird. Um, I had just like with Kuan Yin, I don't even know, I'm super not familiar with her. Um, but it was just so funny. Like last week, I had a meditation with her, and then where she came in, and then I had like a friend client who came and was like, "Oh, um, I had a session with somebody else who mentioned Kuan Yin, who was also mentioned in her and I session together." And I was like, "Oh, I totally, I forget so much of what happens in the sessions that I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't know she came in for you. She literally came in for me this morning." And then the
Yeah.
very next day I woke up and there was this guided meditation for Kuan Yin. And I was like, is there something happening?
Yes.
Like
So
she needs
good.
to be super present today, like in yesterday's.
Yes. Yes.
Things like that. That's so cool to me. So cool.
Yeah. Allowing that flow is awesome.
Yeah, the synchronicity.
Yeah. Well, Miss Allie, this has been wonderful. And I love that we got together again and we had another great conversation.
Yes.
Yeah. So I was thinking, we'll be back here soon. Next week, we'll make another. And yeah,
Definitely.
any last words you want to mention?
No, thank you guys so much for joining us. This was a fun one. It's just so chill, go with the flow. Definitely let us know maybe let us know who your either your spirit team, somebody that you have connected with in a meditation or that you guys sense around you a lot. I would love to hear who you guys feel around you.
Yeah, perfect. So, yeah, message us and we will see you next time.
Yeah,
Thank
thanks so much
you.
for joining. Bye guys.
Bye.